Hi, my name is Carla and welcome to my plant channel, Chlorophyll is the New Black. This channel, for whoever is new, is a channel that is about plants, plant care and plant projects. Today, I'm going to be talking about one specific orchid that is not this one, but I couldn't resist to show it to you. This one is a Paphipetalum hybrid. But today we are going to be talking about Laelia or Cattleya, Lundii or Lundii. In this case, I'm doing a CareCollab. These CareCollabs are organized by Nina from Ninja Orchids, and several channels are participating, which I'm going to show you on the screen. Now, if it's the first time that you are hearing about these CareCollabs, basically the idea is that you see how people around the world with different setups takes care of the same orchid. So to check what can work best for you. Well, now let's go and grab the orchid and let's start with the talk. Well, my plant room is currently a bit messy, but let me show you exactly where do I have my Laelia Lundii or Lundii. And it is here at the top shelf, as you can see. And I have it under this Barina light. And yeah, I have it currently into a beaker because I actually got it mounted, and for me it's very difficult to keep with the watering when orchids are mounted. So that's why I'm also going to report it with you. So let's take it with us and let's talk about it. Well, here you can see it. Yeah, it's not the most showy display, I have to say, but I got this orchid like 8 months ago. And I got it mounted, so it's actually in this kind of styrofoam mount, and I haven't had the time to repot it, so I actually wanted to do this reporting with you. And so far, to actually keep it, because mounts don't kind of fit with my everyday schedule, because I would need to be watering the mount almost every day, and I'm relatively busy. So what I have done to kind of overcome this is to put it in this beaker, and basically I put a little bit of water on the bottom, and since it has sphagnum around the roots, it basically soaks some water, and then I try to empty the glass to not keep it soggy. The only thing is that, of course, I have had some algae formation, so algae has grown quite a bit. I'm trying to give it good light, so that's also in nutrients, so that's why also algae thrive in this environment with those conditions. But yeah, I don't want it like this, so I will actually be reporting it with you. But just talking a little bit about the morphology, meaning like how the plant looks and where is it from. Well, starting from where is it from, it is from Brazil, and it actually extends until Bolivia. And the funny thing about this Cattleya, oh well, funny fact, is that actually it's the only bifoliate Cattleya from Brazil. So according to orchidspecies.com, that's a funny fact. So, well, and what does that mean? Well, of course you can see that each pseudobulb has 2 leaves, although many have only 1, so I'm kind of doubting the situation here, but I guess we'll see when it flowers. It hasn't flowered for me. I mean, also, as you can see, it has this kind of oval shape pseudobulbs. These are the leaves. They're a little bit succulent-like, and the flower is beautiful. It is a very small flower as well, of about 1.5 inches, that is about 3 to 4 centimeters wide, and it's white with some magenta stripes in the leaf. There are also some different forms, like the alba and the cruella. This one, according to me, is just the normal form. So yeah, but again, I will see that when it flowers. And let's talk about culture, but then let's start reporting it in the meanwhile. But as you can see now, it has really a tendency to kind of climb. So that's why I guess many people also try to keep it mounted. But again, it doesn't fit with my lifestyle. So I want to keep it well hydrated. So for this, I will have to adapt the medium. It likes a well-draining medium, but it will need to be in a pot. So let's start with it. Well, so I have everything that I need here, and let me run you through this. So since this has this kind of climbing behavior, I thought that it would be better maybe to put it in a kind of shallow, like more wide rather than deep container. So I'm going to be using this one. Also for medium, I normally use organic medium. That's my medium for preference according to my climate. I live in the Netherlands, so most of the year is cold. And by dosifying the amount of sphagnum, for example, and in this case, I also use bark and I also use expanded clay. I can control better and maintain my orchid hydrated. So in this case, I'm going to use again sphagnum, bark, and expanded clay. I also have disinfected pair of pruners. I also have a couple of tools to dosify the bark and so on. And I also use always 96% alcohol to also disinfect my tools. And I spray my orchid with 3% hydrogen peroxide. So let's start with it. I'm going to start by cutting this like fishing line or so that was used to attach the orchid. So I'm going to go through it and cut all of these fish lines. And in the meanwhile, I can tell you something about the orchid. So this is a warm grower. And as I mentioned before, it is native to Brazil. And in the case of how we actually culture for it, well, it likes warm climates. So that's something to consider when you are growing your orchid. And also, it likes bright light. So you can give it from intermediate to bright light, and that will do good for your orchid. Also, as I mentioned before, this orchid likes it to have a well-draining soil. So in this case, that's why I'm also choosing the chunkier bark, because then I can easier maintain a airy ratio with the sphagnum and give more air circulation through the roots. Well, about watering, as I told you, I'm a little bit lazy with this one because the setup is not that proper for me, but oh, it's actually 2 pieces, or I just broke it. Yeah, probably I just broke a piece. All the roots are around the mount, so I may actually, yeah, need to break it, but I also broke a root. So yeah, that's too sad. So I will need to be more careful. Then talking about waterings, it can dry out, that's not a problem. Just don't leave it too long to dry. And it is supposed to be a very easy orchid to care. And I think that I agree because it hasn't fussed. Like I haven't give it like the best conditions, and still look at it, like it's still growing, and it has not only one but 2, 3, I think I saw a fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 2 new growths in this one. So 4 new growths. So I mean, I guess it's not just because of me, but it's just because the orchid is very, very easy. Yeah, so don't keep it soggy. That's also a mistake that we make with several orchids, and that's why, especially in my climate that is very cold, that's why many roots actually start to decay. So just water it when it needs to be watered, and then just pay attention to water it when it needs water again, and not just be super lazy like me and keep it soggy, because that will bring consequences that are not that good for your orchid. You may even lose it, or lose the whole root system. About fertilizer, when I can also tell you is that it's a medium feeder, so normally I fertilize it bi-weekly with a balanced fertilizer for orchids. So in this case, that you will see also in a bit, I will also add Osmocote bits because I'm sometimes also a little bit lazy to keep with the fertilizer, but yeah, so that actually helps me a bit. So that doesn't substitute completely the fertilizer, it just helps to give some nutrients to the orchid. Okay, let me just concentrate on loosening up this orchid and then we'll come back when this is done. So I managed to get out most of the mount, but sadly I think I ended up damaging a lot of the roots because they were very well, actually growing even in between the mount. So I started to break it piece by piece, but still it actually turned to be challenging, and I'm pretty sure I damaged several of the roots. Yeah, that's a little bit sad, but the reason why I also decided to report it is because it has several new growths, so I'm hoping that in not much time it is actually going to start growing new roots. So yeah, in the new media. So that's why I also wanted to report it, let's say now. I could also have waited a little bit more until the new growths would have more, well, would start to take out new roots. But, well, I also wanted to show you how I did it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start cutting all the roots that are dead. So as you can see, all the ones that I press on them and then they are all without substance, and you can see that they are actually dead because they fall apart right away. So they just show these kind of filaments that is actually the real root, but when they miss the part that covers them, then they're basically dead. So all of this. Okay, now it's actually clean. All the roots that are left, actually if I press them, have substance. So I'm keeping all of these ones. And I also did the same with this small piece that I'm also putting together. So what I'm going to do next is take some of my hydrogen peroxide 3% and I'm just going to spray the roots of the orchids. In this case, I can easily just take it like this and start spraying. And I will let it fizz for a bit on the side and also this one. So I'll let them fizz for about 5 minutes and then I'm going to start putting them up here. So I had a problem with my camera and it didn't film, but what I was saying is, like, I put a layer in the bottom of expanded clay, then I started to put a layer of sphagnum, then I just arranged the roots around it and I put bark and more sphagnum, and again I put this part of the orchid, that is the older part, near to the rim so that all the new growths have space to grow in that direction. And I'm now just covering it with some bark so that the sphagnum doesn't fill with algae as fast, because that's something that happens here in my environment, that a lot of algae grows pretty fast if you let uncover sphagnum. So basically, if you allow too much light to go through, the algae will just start to grow like crazy. And too much algae as well as anything too much of anything, it's not good. So that's why I'm trying to cover all of this. And that's it. That's our orchid potted. Okay, I don't have a pot for it, but I actually found this one that is terracotta that is glazed here, so basically it won't leak. So I can put it nicely here, as you can see. And yeah, lastly what I will do is of course add the tag of the orchid and water it. So I'll go around, putting a little bit of water around the roots. Try not to put much water or almost no water or no water if possible on the new growths because they may be susceptible to rotting. So that's something that we have to consider. And on top of that, what I will also do is that I will let this a little bit under a ventilator just to assure that all the new growths can dry out and that I am not causing actually some rotting in there. But yeah, basically that's it. Our Cattleya Lundii, or Lundii, is potted. I hope you enjoyed the video and that these tips are actually useful. Remember that if you also want to check how other people around the world take care of this orchid, don't forget to check the other channels. And if you would also like to join these CareCollabs, please message me or message Nina from Ninja Orchids. She will be super excited to have you. Well, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe if you like the channel and give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Bye!